Hello and welcome to my extended video version of the article 7 Signs That You Might Be Struggling to Integrate. I'm going to do a brief introduction about what integration is, talk about the 7 signs, and by the end you should have a pretty good idea of your relationship with integration, how you're doing, and maybe some areas where you can improve. So, integration is about it's the process of taking the lessons and experiences that we have doing psychedelic medicine work or other intense, deeply personal, transformative work, and the process of integration is bringing the lessons from that into your life. So one way that I like to look at it is in our culture, there's this whole idea of the life-changing experience. And a lot of people sell the life-changing experience. And while it is true that there is research out there that shows that people who do have even just one psychedelic experience, I think the study is with mushrooms, those people are far less likely to commit violent crimes. That's true, but that's not the kind of life-changing experiences that I'm talking about. I'm talking about like full on, my life is better because of the lessons that I learned and I'm happier in my life. I'm doing the things I want to be doing. My relationships are good. This is the kind of improvements or results that we want to get from doing psychedelic work. So, it's really hard to have a life-changing experience and then actually use that to change your life without changing your life. I don't know if that makes sense. I might be sounds like I'm going in circles, but it's a really important point that I'm trying to hit on here, which is that if you do not actually integrate the changes from the work that you're doing, if you don't take the lessons and incorporate them into how you're living and how you're acting and how you're behaving and actually use them, then they will have very little value to you. So this is hard. This is where the actual work comes in of doing medicine work and of doing psychedelic work. So I'm just going to jump right in and start with the first sign that you're having a hard time integrating, which is that it's really obvious, guys. Your life hasn't changed in the ways that you want it to. So if you're new to medicine work, this doesn't really apply to you, nor does number 2, but there's still value in this. So I'm not talking about... I'm talking about big, major life changes. What are the things that you prioritize in your life? Are you succeeding in those areas? What's important to you, and what have you been trying to accomplish? What have you been putting your effort into? And do you feel like you're getting there? Do you feel like you're moving in that direction the way that you want to? And this is, of course, for people who are committed to the medicine work lifestyle, who are committed to doing this kind of medicine. Of course, you're not going to sit one time and then, oh, look at that, my life is perfect, it's amazing. When I first started doing medicine work, I fell into this trap of expecting that all the other people who were doing medicine work already must have their lives completely figured out and totally perfect. And that's definitely not what I'm saying. We're humans. This is the human experience. We're going to fuck up, and we're not always going to make the right decisions for ourselves. But if you've been doing this work for a long time and you're really committed to it, and you're not getting the results in your life that you've been committed to, then integrating is where it's at for you. That's, and I'm sure you've probably been working on integration, but I recommend taking a new approach because there's no reason why you should be struggling in the areas of your life that are important to you. Okay, number 2 is if you're having the same lessons come up over and over again, and maybe you feel like there's nothing left for medicine work to offer you because you're just having the same thing coming up. Or maybe you feel like, hi, hi Rachel. Um, Maybe you feel like you're stuck because the medicine, you just keep going back, and maybe it's even a few years, you're just doing the same lessons over and over again every time you go, and you feel like, I'm done. There's nothing left here for me. I get it. Well, do you get it? Sorry, but I know this, I'm trying not to be too harsh, but it's true. It's like, sometimes there are going to be things that you're going to need to work on for a long time because they're going to be huge things in your life. And the things that are coming up might not even seem like that big of a deal. You might be like, gosh, this doesn't even have anything to do with me. But I promise you that if you work on integrating and you bring it into your everyday life, you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is actually connected to all these other things in my life, because that's the way that it works. And so, yes, there's another really great thing about this. So if you're having the same lessons come up over and over again, the first thing I'm going to say is whatever you're doing, it's probably not working very well, because it's still coming up for you. So maybe a shift in approach. But the other thing is that this is probably really important to you, and it's when you do get there, when you do start to make headway in this, it's going to be a huge, huge breakthrough for you. This is an awesome opportunity. This is exciting. You just have to look at what you're doing and how you're doing it, and take the time and change the story that there's nothing left here for you into, how do I resolve this for myself so that I can move on in my work? Okay, number 3 is reset. So if you are using, if you're needing to use medicine work or psychedelic work to constantly be resetting. So you do ceremony, you go home, you feel amazing, you're totally flowing, everything's coming together in your life, and then something happens. Maybe something bad happens, like the big bad happens in your life, and you fall apart and you lose that flow and you go into an ebb and you're in low energy. Or maybe you just, time happens and life is busy and hard, and sometimes it's really monotonous, and so you get a little bit stuck, you lose that momentum, you lose that flow, you go into an ebb. First of all, ebbs are totally natural, normal, and a completely necessary part of the human experience. We can't be in a high energy, high flow, super synchronistic state all the time. Sometimes we're gonna be down, hard things are gonna happen, and you have to be willing to weather that. But more importantly, if you fall into those ebbs and then you're using medicine to go back to where you were, to get back into that flow, then you're kind of using it as a crutch, 1, and 2, you're totally missing out on so much opportunity to use the medicine for actual, like, growth. So you're kind of doing this, like, up and down and up and down, and then, like, for me, what I want to be doing when I do medicine work is, I want to do medicine work, I want to go up, right? And then I'm going to come home and I'm going to integrate, and I'm going to try to keep myself at that. And I'm even going to try to take steps forward. Like, I'm going to be moving. I'm going to be still working, still in my process, taking it home, doing my homework. And then when I go back, it's going to skyrocket me to a whole new level. So that's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to take a minute here to talk about valence, because I'm getting into this thing, or I'm talking about ups and downs and a directional flow and trying to move up. And I don't necessarily mean that we're trying to raise our vibration. I'm not trying to say what direction we're going. You might be going down. I'm just sort of using it metaphorically. So I think all aspects of the human experience are really amazing and important, and I'm excited about them. And maybe for you, it is about going down, and I think that's great too, or going in. And a lot of it for me really is going in, but I use up as a metaphor for progressing in your life work experience, for moving, being able to make the changes in your life that you want to make, to be finding yourself, discovering what you're really passionate about, discovering what you want to be doing, living the way you want to be doing, improving your relationships in the way that you want them to be, feeling how you want to feel about yourself and your world, your place in the world, all of that. That's what I mean when I say up, and it doesn't have to be up. Okay, so yes, I caution about falling into the trap of using this as a reset. Hi, Dan. Welcome to my video. So it's really, it can be so much more than just resetting into feeling in flow. It can be an actual, like, you are now at a much higher, you're using it to do much deeper growth than that. So that's number 3, is the reset. Number 4 is that you're doing this psychedelic work and you realize that it's actually making your life harder than it is easier. And that kind of defeats the purpose, right? We're doing this work because we want to feel good. We want to improve our lives. And we want to have deep and amazing spiritual experiences. So on the one hand, I will say that this work is absolutely going to make your life harder in certain areas. You're going to become more sensitive. You're going to recognize things about yourself that you are doing that are harming yourself, and you're not going to be able to not know that anymore. You can't unknow what you learn sometimes, and that's hard. And as you sensitize, you can't desensitize again without really hurting yourself. And you can't go back from deep philosophical or spiritual realizations. I have a very close friend of mine who was a materialist, and he did ceremony and he realized that that was totally wrong. And he spent over a year just trying to figure out what he actually believed about the world. And I'll touch on that in a future one, but it's going to make your life harder. But the benefits should absolutely outweigh the downsides. So I'm going to talk for another minute about the sensory sensitivity that you get, because this is a big one for me, and I think it's important. So there are 6 ways that you can become more sensitive by doing this psychedelic medicine work. Sensory sensitivity, so sounds, light, even taste can become more intense, and that can be hard. For me, that has led to irritability, because I get overwhelmed by brightness or contrast in light or loud noises, and I get irritated. And it's really important to take it slow and to do the integration, because it will mitigate that reactionary sensitivity. Dietary sensitivity will likely eventually, if you keep doing this work long enough, dietary sensitivity will absolutely come up. You'll start to realize that there are certain foods that you can't eat, and that's annoying. I had to recently go gluten-free. After years of resisting that, I now am one of those people. Emotional sensitivity. So you will feel more in tune with your emotions. You might feel more emotions, and you'll certainly be able to love more. I mean, that's a major one that comes up: compassion and love. You will definitely feel more empathic. So you'll have to deal with other people's feelings. As you become more in touch with your feelings, you'll be more aware of other people's, and that can be challenging, definitely. Energetic sensitivity. So what I like to say is, I used to enjoy going to live music and festivals, and now to do that I have to really prepare myself, because all those people coming together is a huge energetic something, and it's intense, and you'll be sensitive to sensitive energies and intense energies. And you might be, especially right after ceremony, you might feel more personally sensitive. So people can hurt your feelings, and you might get easily hurt. And so you have to figure out how to cope with that and not take things personally. And that will be part of your integration process, is to take on each of these sensitivities and figure out what they mean for you. Because it might be that this might not be true, but I have a theory that we're getting more sensitive we already are this sensitive. We're just not aware of it. And so when we become aware of it, we actually are able to take better care of ourselves. So definitely figuring out how to take better care of ourselves is part of integration, and take better care of ourselves because now we know. Now we know better. Okay. Feeling overwhelmed or frightened about what the heck just happened. This happens, I think, to everybody at some point, but this can be a prolonged state. And especially if you're very new to this type of experience, if you're new to psychedelics in general, if you're haven't had a philosophical background, you can be totally overwhelmed. A lot of people who do psychedelics report that they actually feel more connected afterwards and really good, and that's amazing. But it doesn't always go that way. So I will say that personally, some of my hardest experiences have been the deep philosophical, like, big picture, where's my place in the universe? What is this whole reality thing? What the heck is going on? Metaphysical experiences. And it can just be so overwhelming. So in that case, if that does happen to you, especially if you're a beginner, I highly recommend connecting with people in your community, whoever you were doing this work with, and just conversing with people, and don't be afraid to reach out, because and if you don't have the support, then find it. So I'm here. You can email me, but definitely if you're feeling overwhelmed, reach out. And it's the same with the next one. So the next one is one that I take really seriously, and this is number 6. I haven't been doing the numbers, that's okay. This is feeling really disconnected to your life, or disconnected from the world. And this is a really serious one. So if you feel disconnected from your life, I highly recommend also that you reach out to somebody, maybe even a professional, depending on how serious it is and how long it lasts. It's normal to have an intense psychedelic experience, totally leave your body or do whatever you're doing. And then for the duration of your time, or maybe that night, still kind of feeling a little bit disconnected, but you should come back. You should come back and feel really grounded in yourself again. And if you don't, and I should make one about being ungrounded, because being grounded is a huge part of integrating, is grounding back in. Psychedelic medicine can take you so far out and totally leave you in a space of not being here and grounded and in your body. And we're here to live in our bodies. So, I have definitely experienced feeling disconnected. I had an experience that with a major time dilation, and I was gone for so long, and I lived so much else, and I had such a huge shift in perspective that I had a hard time relating back into my life for a few months, and it was really hard. And I did have people to support me, but I wish that I had sought more support and reached out more and had more tools and focused more on integration. This was very early in my experience. So this is very serious. Okay, so the last one is the big bad for me. This is where it is through this that I've had my huge medicine work wake up about, holy shit, we really need to be doing integration, guys. And that is, if you are scared shitless to show up and do this work, if you're so scared, if the thought of any psychedelics or anything like that is super scary to you and you've been doing it, I'm telling you right now that integration can help with that. And I wouldn't have believed that a year ago, because I wasn't integrating, and I didn't realize that fear was coming from me not bringing the work into my life. So, yeah, it makes sense to be scared. It's really scary, but it shouldn't be that hard. I've had so many meltdowns throughout my process of just feeling like, why does this have to be so hard? I'm just trying to better myself. I'm just trying to I don't know, like I felt so called to do this, and yet it was so deeply, deeply, profoundly scary and challenging. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that hard. So, yeah, integration can really bring you to a place of figuring out how to do this without struggling so much and without having to suffer so much. So, remember, to take away is a life-changing experience is only life-changing insofar as you use it to change your life. And I'm going to sign out now. I am going to be doing another video later this week, and I look forward to hearing what you all thought in the comments. And I hope that you'll like my page, check out my website, and have a fantastic Tuesday. Bye-bye.